Good day. We would like to share our Community Action Plan, the agency of the urban streetscapes. Introducing our team with different experiences and knowledge that carried out our fieldwork, comprised of University of Pretoria students, field researchers and interns. Who are our collaborative partners? What are the invisible and unstated power structures at play? And how does that affect the agency of the urban streetscapes in the context of Melusi? Foucault argues that agency, commonly defined as the ability to act independently and to consciously make decisions that shape the experience and lives of individuals, exists in the relationship to power structures. That implies that agency is the capacity to resist power structures that would define or limit freedom and subjectivity. This in turn creates a dichotomy of power and agency, where agency is the resistance of power structures and where power structures evolve as a result of agency. Our stance is that the community of Melusi has considerable agency. It is then also important to understand that our participation is one of co-authorship, where we actively distance ourselves from control and authority. Jeremy Till speaks to this when he describes the role of the architect as that of the antihero. The contents of this presentation has been categorized into parts. This includes mapping, reflecting, and learning in order to create our community action plan. This timeline shows the community action plan phases in line with the structure of our presentation today. The first phase is the preparation phase, which consists of listening and understanding the context. In part 1, we facilitated community engagement. First, we immersed ourselves within Melusi and investigated mapping and the streetscape. Our introduction started with a transect walk to 4 key sites of interest. This was followed in our next session with focus group discussions considering the urban social interactions. In our third session, we conducted a mapping exercise in 2 groups. One of the groups focused on the use and interaction within the urban realm, roads and businesses, while the other focused on safety, well-being and beautification. The safety and beautification of Melusi is an important factor in community development. Potential areas to improve was pinpointed and discussed, from dangerous electrical wires to streetlights and discussions around water as a key factor in ensuring safe mobility and well-being. In our other mapping group, we established that roads and pedestrian pathways are integral to the functioning of Melusi. Everyone is dependent on the road infrastructure on a day-to-day basis. The roads also set the stage for economic opportunities. A desktop study was also conducted off-site to enrich our understanding of what the City of Tshwane's proposal entails. The information shows proposed roads, servitudes, and the layout of proposed res do urban and important buffer zones around water bodies. Our site proposal is highlighted in red.
Next, we identified several critical issues affecting the community. These include health and safety concerns, business disruptions, poor drainage, limited pedestrian access, and erosion. However, when we examined these challenges in depth, we found that they all trace back to a single underlying root cause: water, its movement, stagnation, and mismanagement within the community. Health and safety. Contaminated water increases the risk of diseases. Flooded walkways increase injuries, and stagnant water creates breeding grounds for pests and rodents, thus worsening hygiene conditions. Disruption to businesses. Flooding reduces foot traffic, leading to loss of income. Water damage destroys goods and equipment, forcing businesses to close, and high repair costs and delays make financial recovery difficult. Poor drainage infrastructure. Floodwaters restrict daily activities, and improvised drainage systems fail under heavy rain, causing sewage overflows and structural damage. Limited pedestrian access. Waterlogged paths make commuting difficult and dangerous, isolating low-lying areas, and public transport is disrupted, further limiting mobility. Erosion. Footpaths wash away, forcing residents to navigate through unsafe crossings, and weak foundations, soil loss, and dust pollution harm air quality and health. Last, we analyze the de jure and de facto. De facto refers to what exists in reality, regardless of official policies. Currently, businesses and residents coexist along Mpolelaka Street, creating a vibrant and economically active environment. Without formal zoning support, this informal arrangement faces long-term challenges. De jure refers to what is legally recognized or planned. This refers to the proposed residential 2 zoning by the City of Tshwane. This will limit the area to residential use only, isolating businesses from the street's edge. A residential 5 zone allows for a mixed-use environmental residents and businesses on the same earth, enhancing the current dynamic. Moving on to Phase 2 of the Community Action Plan, identifying key issues and opportunities. In Part 2, we looked through the lens of water and examined the surfacing problems. The first step was to reflect on 2023 and 2024's findings. Despite challenges faced around water, the community has taken proactive steps to manage water-related issues using self-implemented strategies. These include small bridges and stepping stones to help navigate waterlogged areas. Informal water channels reduce street flooding by diverting runoff to the dam. And boundary walls and barriers redirect water away from homes. These solutions demonstrate the resilience and agency of the community, showing their ability to adapt despite limited resources, demonstrating that solutions should come from within rather than being imposed from outside.
The key axiological needs, according to Max Neef, identified as crucial in 2024. This included subsistence, protection, affection, understanding, as well as participation. Our proposal focuses on the impact and effects of water as the root cause to which all these elements are related. Looking at the outcomes, it can be seen that prioritizing water access can meet all of the axiological needs. This proves that water serves as a common problem people in Melusi face. Next, we use Nabil Hamdi's problem tree to enable us to analyze root causes. The root causes are the underlying issues such as health and safety, erosion, sewage overflow, and disruption to businesses. The branches show the consequences of these issues. This can be injury, illness, supply chain delay, and countless more. Concluding from the problem tree, we constructed a problem statement. Melusi faces extreme flooding conditions that affects the community's daily life, posing health and safety risks. The poor drainage system and informal structures worsen the impact, limiting mobility and economic stability.
Part 3 focuses on our precedent studies. Our first precedent, the Waterpoint upgrade of Europe, an informal settlement in Guguletu, emphasizes co-creation of community projects. This project, at an established community node, is an infrastructure and public space solution that comprises of 2 new paved plazas with ergonomically designed water points and a stormwater channel that functions as a pedestrian route and grey water diversion system. Similarities between the goals of this project and what we are trying to achieve is apparent. This includes providing sufficient access to potable water and creating a positive public space that encourages gathering and social interactions, while also addressing the concern of safety and well-being through the lens of water. It acknowledges that established communities offer both social and economic networks that should not be uprooted and support the shift towards the approach to informality away from formal housing resettlement to a more sensitive in situ-based process.
The second precedent takes a look at a city built on a wetland. In Rob Giblet's book, In Cities and Wetlands, he discusses the adaptive urban planning technique to accommodate the Hamburg wetland environment. Giblet does this by emphasizing the importance of protecting these ecological landscapes. This adds value to our project in Melusi as it highlights how built elevated structures can assist with these landscapes and how water can be integrated to create community spaces. Our last precedent is Guga Setebe Culture Center in Langa, Cape Town. This precedent integrates street agency by blending informal everyday street life with formal design. This approach encourages community engagement, empowering local residents and ensuring the center reflects their needs. It becomes a dynamic space that fosters participation and strengthens social bonds. Melusi has its own language and established community. With adequate resources and the willingness to create solutions, Melusi has inspired itself to make a change within their power. On our site walk, we witness a truck pour rubble and bricks into a hole in the road. Residents call these services and pay for it themselves. This shows us that small actions such as these help Melusi operate through people willing to use available resources. After a thorough analysis, we are now able to define the Community Action Plan in Phase 3.
Part 4 of our process aims to establish a strong basis for the way forward. Starting off with our vision statement. Hamdi states that a good neighborhood is a wonderful place to grow up in. Our shared vision states that through participatory planning, collaborative workshops, and knowledge-sharing activities, the subsequent hindrance of the agency of the urban streetscapes due to flooding and inadequate drainage systems masquerade as opportunities for the community of Melusi to reclaim their agency over the inaccessible public realm of the urban streetscape. This urban fabric serves as the canvas for incremental patchwork solutions to activate edges and latent spaces with scalable water management systems for a sustainable, synergistic solution. Next, we developed a solution tree in response to the problems we mapped out in our problem tree. Where the problem tree maps root causes of agency issues, the solution tree leverages on existing community systems to foster and stem into a vibrant streetscape. The roadmap will outline our process adapted from Hamdi's framework to structure our community action plan for this shared goal. Our roadmap begins with a defined problem, followed by the community's solutions already in practice to address this problem. In some cases, these solutions address the symptomatic problem but not the root cause. This led our team towards a synergistic approach in the form of a community action plan to address this problem. This plan is a phased approach including a now, soon, and later process. Each phase acts as a stepping stone towards the next, subdivided into a what, including what the proposed intervention is, a how, stating how the intervention will be implemented, and a who, defining who will be involved in terms of stakeholders and their relationships. The soon phase is the next stepping stone, including another what, how, and who, followed by the later phase including the what, how, and who, in order to reach the shared vision of the community of Melusi. Part 5 expands on this framework through the lens of water, starting with designing the community action plan. Our roadmap bridges local insights with our knowledge to meet the physical and social needs of the streetscape. The current agency of the urban streetscape has become increasingly eroded due to the physical impediments posed by water. This overarching problem fosters the problematic roots of limited pedestrian access, health and safety issues, disruption to businesses, poor drainage infrastructure, and erosion, all of which relate to the 5 most prevalent axiological needs raised from our findings and that of 2024, according to Max Neef's Human Matrix Needs. This being affection, protection, subsistence, understanding, and participation. As a result, the current state of Melusi reflects a palimpsest of responses to community needs evolved over time. The solutions observed on site provided valuable insights that inspired our approach, including stepping stones, water filtration systems, paving and shading devices, water channeling systems, and boundary infrastructure. These solutions helped identify available resources and areas for intervention. Collaborative workshops established relationships to identify this shared vision. This provided a participatory way forward, including knowledge exchange, emerging solutions, stakeholders and their relationships, iteration, and real-world adaptation.
Our approach pinpointed spaces with urgent priorities and divided them into actionable, community-inspired interventions.
The now intervention. Leading with the what, we are focusing on a portion of Mpolelaka Street, which experiences high foot and vehicle traffic with frequent flooding. We are focused on managing water issues in this phase. The how includes an intervention between the two existing water tanks by addressing the most urgent needs first. First off, gravel trenches using community-sourced rubble to absorb water runoff, reducing its speed and volume. Next, vegetated strips from the nursery to further reduce runoff while creating a buffer between the road and the sidewalk for pedestrian safety. Then, designated areas with permeable paving sourced from the community for movement and pedestrian safety, followed by curated seating areas for resting and socializing to support the existing social spaces along the street. The final step is to potentially introduce a specialist from the Department of Water and Sanitation to assess the water quality absorbed into the trenches. The who includes the community as a key role since we utilize their methods. The Unit of Urban Citizenship will assist in planning and support, while MIDO will facilitate participation. Benefactors to possibly provide financial support, and the Department of Water and Sanitation will assess the water quality. Next, the soon phase. The what includes extending the now phase intervention across multiple roads to create more connected spaces within the urban fabric of Melusi. As noted by the author Jeremy Till, space making is incremental. We also aim to close the loop in this phase. We aim to capture and redirect water for reuse. The how includes where the Phase 1 water assessment will reveal if reuse is possible or if further treatment is needed. Potentially, the water will be stored in the existing JoJo tanks for non-potable uses like irrigation for the nursery or cleaning, turning a challenge into a resource. The who includes the community with the Unit of Urban Citizenship as facilitators, the City of Tshwane ensuring alignment with infrastructure planning, and experts to refine the technical aspects of the water system. The later phase. The what includes to expand what has been done in the now and soon phase across more streets. Additionally, we aim to engage with the City of Tshwane to advocate for a residential 5 zoning. For the street agency, it would allow for businesses to remain integrated with residences. Alexander highlights in a pattern language how patterns of use shape belonging and ownership. A residential 5 zoning would strengthen rather than disrupt existing patterns, aligning with our plan across all phases. This includes the water catchment, the water tanks, trenches guiding the water, interactive sidewalks, pedestrian-friendly spaces, and the mixed-use zoning. How to achieve this? Our community action plan acts as a catalyst for dialogue with the City of Tshwane. The goal is to align the community's needs with city development, guided by Hamdi's participatory approach. Moving on to the who. The Unit of Urban Citizenship advocates for a residential 5 mixed-use zoning, where our role will be classified as the mediator between the community and the City of Tshwane.
Phase 4 of the CAP explores the implementation strategy, which highlights mobilizing resources and building partnerships. Mobilizing resources include funding, people, knowledge, materials, and local expertise. Funding can be gathered through saving groups, local contributions, and business investments. External funding, if needed, should be managed by community-led committees to align with Melusi's needs. Sustained change relies on resident-led task groups, skills workshops, and mentorships from experienced elders to pass down knowledge. Community mapping helps track water flow and problem areas, while traditional flood management techniques should be preserved. External experts may advise, but final decisions should remain within the community. Using affordable local materials like stone, gravel, and recycled waste can reinforce drainage, improve pathways, and reduce reliance on costly external resources. Formalizing community efforts ensure long-term maintenance, empowering local leaders and training residents to manage infrastructure independently. Melusi's residents have already demonstrated resilience in managing challenges. The focus now is on amplifying these efforts by organising resources, strengthening community leadership, and refining existing solutions. While external support can assist, true change must come from within, ensuring that Melusi remains in control of its own agency.
The next part discusses the implementation of our Community Action Plan. Generated by Hamdi, this diagram shows the equal power distributed between the state, market, and community. The bottom-up approach encapsulates our Community Action Plan and facilitates the community in taking ownership of the agency on their streetscape. This matrix, developed by Nabil Hamdi and Reinhard Groothardt, identifies 5 levels of participation. The full control level promotes the outsider as a resource. This is also ideal, however, power hierarchies within the community can discriminate certain individuals. With relation to our Community Action Plan, a shared control level is considered to be ideal for participatory planning. Phase 5 concludes the Community Action Plan. Learning by doing refers to an iterative process where community members can reflect and refine their strategy. We've built on the community's existing methods and skills. Small localized changes can create a ripple effect by adapting the methods the community stays engaged and can continue independently. In Jeremy Till's book, Spatial Agency, he states, "The act of design agency is one that critically intervenes in wider societal structures in the name of and for the benefit of others. With scarcity, one is presented with a structure that is very real and one that is a pressing societal concern. Indeed, it may be argued that scarcity will become the defining feature of contemporary life in the coming years. It thus presents an ideal context within which agency works." This statement reflects our process. Instead of seeing scarcity as a limitation, we have worked with Melusi to drive creativity and adaptive reuse. Our Community Action Plan embraces this and allows for spatial agency to become a catalyst for meaningful interventions.